Isn't Walz, though, that kind of guy that you're talking about, that it doesn't come across condescending, comes across as a normal guy? Isn't that why, maybe one of the reasons why she picked him?
It could be. I mean, he made the comment, he said, you know, socialism is just another way of saying being neighborly. Well, maybe we ought to define that a little more, because real socialism is not so much being a good neighbor. It's taking money from someone who earned it and worked for it and giving it to someone who didn't. Now, I don't know, maybe to some people that's being a good neighbor. I think that's theft. If I give you money, Connell, because I feel you've got a need, that's charity.
Charity, right.
If someone takes the money from me and gives it to you, that's theft.
You know, there was a back and forth about, so Vance, obviously his background is well known because he wrote Hillbilly LG, and, you know, we know where he comes from in Appalachia, and he's written about that. And Walz, he's an older guy, obviously, but he's, you know, similar background, I guess, to the Midwest, and his upbringing is similar. There was this, I'll put up the tweet, there's this liberal writer named Tegan Goddard who wrote this, Political Wire, and I just want to see what you think of it, comparing the two. He says, my first thought, Tim Walz is the guy J.D. Vance pretends to be. We'll see if that's a plus. What would you say?
I don't know that J.D. pretends anything. You know, when you put on a Marine uniform and go to war in Iraq, I don't think you're pretending. I think it's pretty real. And when you work your way through both Ohio State, summa cum laude, then go to Yale Law, work your way through that, how do you pretend that? You either do it or you don't. That's meritocracy. J.D. Vance has demonstrated that, and I think a lot of Americans appreciate people who weren't handed anything but hard luck and made something remarkable out of it.
How do you see the race right now? We know Trump was leading rather comfortably, I think, in the Electoral College before Biden got out. Now it seems maybe a jump ball at best. Some say that even Harris might have a slight advantage. How do you see it?
Well, for 16 days, we've not heard a peep out of Kamala Harris, unless it's out of a teleprompter. I wonder, when is the press going to start pressing her and demanding that she talk, that she answer questions? Can you imagine if any Republican running for president got the nomination without a single vote and then spent the first 16 days as the nominee in a most undemocratic way of ignoring every question posed and not sitting down for an interview? You would think the press would be incensed by that, offended by that.
Right.
But they're covering for it.
I don't know if they're covering for it, but I think people want to interview her, but I think it's a fair point that you're making, that she should do an interview. I mean, she's going to have to at some point, right? Or, I mean, you don't have to, but, I mean, in fact, at that point, that's 100% a fair point that a lot of Republicans, including Vance, are making, that she should sit down and do an interview with somebody.
Yeah. Maybe she'll go on your show, Connell. I mean, I think that would be a good idea. Maybe you should invite her.
We will. I mean, I think, and again, I think a lot of people are inviting her. It'll be interesting to see who, if she does pick a show like this or some other show, or who she sits down with. But I think that you're right. That is a fair point. You should do interviews if you're running for president, which you used to do when you were running. Thanks, Governor. Good to see you again.
Thank you, Connell. Good to see you.
Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.